Yeah, and if you've noticed the theme of our episode, including our interlude music or whatever you want to call it, was a James Bond themed, you know, instrumental. And the episode here is titled "The Five Shocking Truths About Retirement That You Must Know." But we also are titling it "The License to Spend." And later on in this episode, we're going to discuss some research that was conducted by Michael Fink of the American College of Finance. And he wrote an article that was titled License to Spend. So we're going to touch on the key points there to bring everybody up to speed on his findings when it comes to researching retirement and retirement income planning and the most optimal way to approach that from a few different angles. So, but in our first segment here, let's talk about retirement planning versus financial planning. I
Can
think one
we
of the
can we first talk about, sorry to cut you off,
no worries.
how important it is that we use James Bond, because I'm a James Bond geek. So like when you came up with the idea of the License to Spend and referencing Michael Fink, I was so stoked. And I realized, like, this goes way back to, if I remember right, late 60s when it started, early 70s. Those are my favorite ones. And when you go back to the old guys, they're some of the best. Now
Yeah, man.
Daniel Craig is falling off the James Bond train here, unfortunately. But man, I was beyond excited when you came up with this. So thank you,
Yeah, of course. I had no idea that you were such a James Bond nerd, but
dude.
glad
Love
glad
it.
to learn something new about you. I've known you for, geez, I don't know what, 20 years now, if, at least.
Oh yeah,
Learn something new every day.
that's it, man.
But what do you
All right,
think of
now we
our
can
little
get into the
graphic here?
subject if
We
you
look
really
like some
want.
handsome dudes there in those tuxedos.
Right?
Cool, man. Well, yeah, absolutely. Happy to do this episode. We're trying to add some candor and, some, you know, fun and comedy, if you will, in a way, to these episodes, because let's face it, a lot of the crap out there that you can find on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcast, when you're talking about financial stuff, it can be very boring. Very, it's like listening to, nails on a chalkboard, right? But we're trying to add a little bit more fun to it just to make it more engaging. So hopefully everybody's enjoying that out there. And if you are, please, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up or a like and share, or even comment on what you think about the show so far. We're trying to do a banner job here, and we're only going to get better. So please excuse us for any of the things that we're doing that maybe aren't as up to par. But let's get into our first segment here, and that's retirement planning versus financial planning. There's a very big difference here between the two. And a lot of times, and oftentimes, people get confused by them. And what we find is that most people aren't aware of the differences. So let's just make it crystal clear here that financial planning during your working years involves things like asset allocation, risk tolerance, saving strategies, and even growing your wealth. Ultimately, in the financial planning stage, you're building your nest egg.
Yeah, and the shift that happens here is that it's no longer a point at which we're really trying to beat the markets, and we're trying to outperform and outgrow. I think you can attest to the conversations that we have today is, how do I sustain? How do I maintain? How do I give myself an income that I can rely on month in and month out? And really, we start to see that shift happen in preserving wealth, creating guaranteed income, and planning for expenses like healthcare. Because as much as we've heard before, earlier in retirement, plan on traveling a lot. So all of my expenses are going to be front loaded when it comes to retirement. I think we've
Yeah.
found